Peace. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a little fantastic live show for you today. First, let's talk a little bit about this latest situation, this mass shooting at the state of Maine that has left 18 people killed and the suspect still on the run. We'll talk a little bit about the latest developments in this tragedy. Also, can we talk a little bit about what's going on with Representative Jamal Bowman? He has officially went through the trial hearing for doing something that he was charged for a misdemeanor for, but he still hasn't told us why he decided to pull the fire alarm in the Capitol. What is that about? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then later, I'm going to be checking in with Ms. Shaniqua Quattlebaum, who is a domestic violence survivor, and how she changed her life and her path from being a survivor to an entrepreneur. And I got some news for you about the U.S. Mint, how they're now putting 2 Black women on U.S. quarters in 2025. So stay with us. That is all coming up on today's edition of The Culture, right here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Got my man, brother Shaniqua Quattlebaum, joining us in a few moments. Folks, we want to thank you for tuning in and let you know that we are streaming on many different platforms, starting with our home platform, blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure y'all do your due diligence, download the app for free, follow us on social media, and of course, give something to help power this digital movement. Just go right to our website or download or to our app at Black Star Network or blackstarnetwork.com. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon, your Amazon news station, on your Fire TV, and on Amazon Prime Video. So you can find us there on Prime Video app under Live TV, the news, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, Live TV, the news. And we're also on Freevee, where you can find us on now at news, and also on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, folks, let's jump right into it. We got my culture crew. Folks are checking in from around the country. I see you, Pastor Damon Blissett. Peace and blessings, Brother Damon. Peace and blessings, Big Brother Willie Frazier. What's good with you, sir? Tiana, I see you. Zania, boy. Zania, thank you so much for checking in. Well, I'm glad the show started for you, Zania. Thank you so much. Cindy, thank you for checking in. Tiana, thank you so much for checking in as well. My sister Tiana, always giving some great feedback. Brother Robert Shields, thank you so much. And Corinna, one of our great culture crew members and contributors here. Corinna, good to connect with you once again. And ABX Girl, glad to see you joining us once again. Folks, join us on the chat as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page, and you could be a part of today's culture crew. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the state of Maine, folks. As folks, the community in that part of the state, in Lewiston, Maine, is still reeling and still trying to figure out what is going on with the mass shooter that is on the run. This is a manhunt is underway right now for what they're calling it, the Maine shooting rampage. And this is an intensive manhunt because for the suspect in yesterday's shooting rampage at a bowling alley and at a restaurant that left at least 18 dead and 13 injured, Mr. Robert Card, he's 40 years old. He's facing an arrest warrant for 8 counts of murder and should be considered armed and dangerous according to the police. He is certified firearms instructor and a member of the U.S. Army Reserves, according to law enforcement. Now, of course, police are urging residents to shelter in place and report any suspicious activity to authorities. Lewiston is the second largest city in the state of Maine and is located about 36 miles north of Portland. This is considered to be one of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history since the Uvalde school massacre that happened down in Texas. And we're looking at 565 mass shootings in this country this year alone. And that's a mass shooting is anything that's considered to be 4 or more people shot, excluding the shooter, across the country, and this is according to the Gun Violence Archive. Let me bring in my brother Shanedu Wakor, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Specialist. Brother Shanedu, thank you so much for joining me once again, bro. This situation in Maine, it's going to once again spark more conversation about guns, gun reform, gun control, gun laws. The thing that gets me about this is that as much as there are mass shootings, like I said, 565 to this for mass shootings this year to date, how come we're not moving fast enough on this, Sinead? Why is there still? Why do you think there's still this resistance to having something substantive around this issue?
Well, I think, thank you so much for having me, Farajii.
Absolutely, bro.
I believe that our American society hails our Constitution even further than the Bible. It is the unchangeable document that, even though it has amendments, there are certain parts and clauses of it that are enshrined in the heads of American elites and powerful people who refuse to change. When you think about, for example, when you think about the Republican Party in particular, their main selling point is the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. So theoretically, if you took that away, their platform is diminished extraordinarily, as it is with abortion as well. So I think for that reason, it doesn't matter how many people are killed. There will never be any type of legislation that is meaningful enough, because these gun lobbies, NRA, they push these candidates, more or less, who are in the Republican Party, to be able to win. You think about top Republican leaders; they have an A+ NRA rating. That's not a mistake. And when you juxtapose these folks to what's going on, you see a clear analysis that they're not going to speak against their own interests, even if they hate mass shootings. They prefer to be in power than save the lives of helpless Americans.
Now that's crazy. That is crazy, bro. But you know what? The you know what do they say? The devil is in the details. As much as we like to say, oh man, people care. People are not. You know, this is a bit important issue. The things you got to look for is what's on the political agenda, what's in the budget, and what's people actually doing, not just saying, right? So that's how you determine whether a person is serious about a given issue. And in this issue, we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it. Look, the president, the White House press secretary, Ms. Karine Jean-Pierre, she gave some remarks earlier today as a result of, one, this tragedy in Maine, and two, the House Speaker, the newly elected House Speaker, Mike Johnson, calling on Mike Johnson to find some common ground. She said it's within Congress' power to pass legislation that will make our streets safer, that will make our communities safer, that will make our schools safer. And she's talking about banning assault weapons and enacting universal background checks. I mean, and look, I had a story. We talked about this yesterday, Brother Sinead, where more Jewish Americans are buying guns because they are feeling a sense of urgency and they don't feel quite as safe or secure given what's going on across the borders. And in my conversation with my sister Suzette Speaks yesterday, we were like, well, if Black folks started to buy guns, then we start to see a major reform, because we start to see some pushback. And it's like, what will it have to take for Congress, for anybody, to figure this situation out, to get to the root of it after 565 mass shootings? Like, you go to other countries that, quote unquote, aren't civilized, and they're not dealing with this, man.
Well, apparently, and this is just not going by emotional sentiments, but this is just going by factual details. What I think it'll take, unfortunately, this sounds very crazy and morbid, but I want you all to stay with me. I think what it will take is a foreign actor to come into this country legally, a foreign actor to go and purchase a gun legally and commit some atrocity. Maybe then it'll be serious, because we look at January 6th, and these were people storming through the house of the seat of government, and that didn't change any rules of gun control. But I always use an example. what always makes me interestingly, what's the word I'm looking for? Curious is that if 9/11 was done by homegrown terrorists, would the FAA, would we have created the Department of Homeland Security? Would the TSA have been created? Is it an affinity that when the actor is foreign to America, that we put more serious severity in legislation? Because you just said 565 so far. That is an average of 1.5 a day. And that's just this year. You do it by 10 years, you're looking at thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And we say the same thing. Usually it is white women and children that make our government stand up. And we saw what happened with Sandy Hook, and we saw what happened in these multiple incidents. And I think what I don't want people to mistake either, let's also see a pattern. They said this gentleman was in the military.
Right.
This is a military person. Now, we can go beyond gun control if you want to take a second from that. Can we have a conversation about what is happening to our brave men and women who serve in the military, whether it be overseas or reserves, and somehow something splits in their mind? And
that's it.
To be controversial, but I wonder, is something that we're learning in the military maybe to afflict on quote unquote people that we see as enemies? Is that now being reconfigured?
And look, Sinead, we got to take a quick pause. I'm so happy you brought that up. My big brother, Willie Frazier, brought this up in the chat as well. This is an element of the conversation that I think that a lot of folks not or don't want to have. And I'm talking about people in leadership. That maybe the military handling of our veterans, those who are coming back home from warfare, whether they're seeing it on the front lines or on the auxiliary, on the peripheral of it. But those who are coming back home are not in the best mental space. Big Brother Willie said, should the conversation be more about how war and going to war causes mental instability? If not, why do so many soldiers commit suicide, are homeless, and commit atrocious crimes when back home? Now we're putting the accountability, and I think that's an excellent post there, Brother Willie. We're putting the accountability on the military industry, the military complex, these military institutions. Are you really, when these guys and these women come back home, are they really ready to integrate into society? Are they really stable? Because now look at all of the injustice that is happening in society, and you come home and you hear about, I don't know, you hear that that you got a bunch of Trumpers here. You hear about the situation in Israel and Hamas. You hear about the injustice of Black folks. And if you are a certain individual, you don't even have to be a white male. It could be a Black male. It could be a white woman, Black woman. All of that can create so much instability in your brain, like you said, that you're trying to deal with the remnants of being in war. Then you come home to a different level of war. No one is safe, unfortunately, for that soldier in that soldier's orbit. I gotta take a pause, but we really should look at that and say, what can we do? What can we talk about more around this issue? Folks, we've been talking about the main mass shooting where 18 people were killed. The gunman is still on the run. Robert Card, 40 years old. He is a certified firearms instructor. He is a part of the U.S. Army Reservists, and he has committed a major, major atrocity, another mass shooting in this country. And he is a man that has gone through the military system and has come out becoming a greater threat to the civilians than he is to enemies of war. Folks, we want to continue the conversation on the other side. Join us in the discussion as we're streaming live on YouTube on the Roland Martin's YouTube page, and stay with us. We're just getting started right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now
We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to PO Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my brother and culture crew member and contributor, Brother Sinedu Wakorafor, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Specialist, as we talk about this latest tragedy that has hit the state of Maine and has rocked the country with this Maine mass shooting that has claimed the lives of 18 in the state, and how the government, Robert Card, is still on the run, according to the latest reports. And it has brought up new conversations or nuanced conversations about access to guns, gun laws, and reforms. But I think we should push this piece that you brought up, that Brother Willie Frazier in the chat brought up, and many others are starting to have conversations about, is protecting the mental stability of veterans, those who are going to war, those who are serving for our country. What is going on with them? Let me share with you, Brother Sinedu, more of what the crew is saying, and then get your take on it. So we talked about Willie Frazier. You are not a victim. You said, how can you stop someone in the military or law enforcement from access to weapons? Well, it depends on what kind of work do they do. But I understand what you're saying. If they served in the military, this is the crazy kind of relationship, I think, Brother Sinedu, that we do have with those who served in our military. One is that veterans, they struggle in getting housing, proper insurance, mental health services, but then they struggle in those areas because of the institutional stuff. But then on the other side, they can get guns, they can get access to other weapons. No one is questioning them on that, right? But the stuff that really matters is the part that they're struggling with. They're having problems getting those things. So it's like the priorities around medical, or around our veterans, it's just misplaced, it seems to be. And I know a lot of money is spent, or we often promote and talk about the Veterans Memorial Day and what they give and sacrifice. But I know veterans. I've talked to veterans. My dad is a veteran. They haven't been treated well by this country. And who said it in the chat? Let me check really quickly, and then I want to get your take on this, Brother Sinedu. Taylor, you said many of the people running around the Capitol on January 6th were retired military. So they're just as dissatisfied, Brother Sinedu, with the state of things in this country, yet they have given it, and they sacrifice, they have taken time away from their family, and they come back home to madness. So what do we do on the military side? Do we put the onus of responsibility on the military's plate?
It's to be honest, it's the onus on the country, because the military is the branch of our government. And I love when people say this. You go, first of all, shout out to everybody who has served in the military. Your service is appreciated. But you hear the terms protect and serve, that the military is going to serve and protect America. But what does America actually mean? If the military is to protect America, and then you go and protect America, and then you come back to America and you see what's happening to your people. I think it was Muhammad Ali who said, no Viet Cong ain't never called me no nigga.
Right. Yep, it was Muhammad Ali.
More. And he was speaking on the ideas of, what am I fighting for if I come back here and see the things that happen? I was speaking to the producers earlier, Farajii, about, I think his name is Makai Xavier. This was in 2016. He is the gentleman who shot and killed, I think, 6 Dallas police officers. This was after the killing of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. And this was a military, a reserves member. And again, I'm begging the same question. This is somebody who is a part of a protect and serve brigade, if you will, that is serving possibly overseas, but then to see in your own local communities, the people that you're supposed to be protecting, they're being killed by other people who are supposed to be protecting them as well.
Wow.
So if you really think about it from a psychological point of view, I think this is a mirror on our face. There is a bigger issue that we're not understanding, and it's beyond just gun control. I think gun control is, in my opinion, the smallest amount in this situation. It's a reality in America. We're not the only country with guns. My people are from Nigeria. Nigeria has a ridiculous poverty rate, but I always wonder, why aren't there mass shootings every single day? In all, why are the people in the poorest villages not killing each other? But in America, in a society that is established, a first world country, the leader of the free world for over 100 and something years, how are these people, the most protected people in the planet, how are we always ending up killing people in mass on behalf of safety and protecting myself? Something is not right somewhere. Somebody had lied to somebody somewhere. And I think it is a representation of our government and their lack of truth and their lack of transparency.
I would even, and I would, to add to that, big bro, I would even say we're not taking this as serious, right? Like, profits is becoming more of a priority to the people in this. You talked about this in the beginning of your remarks. If you have strong gun lobbyists who are telling you, hey, we'll line your pockets, we will make sure that you get elected, we'll fundraise your campaign, then your one's integrity and character starts to come into play here. And if you're dealing with individuals who really don't care, and I know people might say, no, they can't. No. I'm convinced that y'all ever get to a place in your life as you get older, you're like, you know what? Some people just don't really care about other people. And guess what? They're in positions of leadership, positions of power, positions of public service. So if you're dealing with an individual like that, and because we're seeing this time and time again, we talk about it, we cry about it, we yell and scream about it, only for us to what? Not really have any full substantial movement on it. Then what happens? Then we just go back to getting quiet again. All right, let me take some more from you, crew, about this as we talk about this. Taylor, you said our military needs to assess soldiers when they return. No unstable individual should be put on the streets. Many are homeless too. Absolutely. Thank you, Taylor. Anastasia Pageant, you said the federal government is to blame for all of this by not giving them the help they need. The Veterans Hospital here just fired the 3P person in charge of the hospital paperwork in the basement. Dang. Anastasia, where are you? Which VA hospital are you speaking of? Let me know. ABX Girl, you said we go to protect America, but America will never protect us. That's a sad reality, brother Sinead. That's a harsh and sad reality. You put your life on the line. Like, if we think about how many of us have been told those things, right? And I know there are a lot of black men, black women who are in the military. And part of their reason for being in the military is, one, of course, they get benefits, but they wanted to make themselves be somebody, right? They wanted to put themselves in a space where they're doing work for a cause bigger than themselves, right? They wanted to serve their country. You can't be in the military if you don't have some level of love or some level of hope in this country. So if you're in the military, that means to me that you see something in this country worth fighting for. And if that's the case, but you come back home and you feel unprotected, I'm sorry, that's going to cause mental instability because you gave your life for something and then you come back home and you got to deal with red tape and paperwork, people yelling and screaming at you. I can only imagine what the Vietnam period was like because it wasn't like that. You know, they came home and they weren't loved by anybody. So you come home and you come home to people just telling you the only thing that they want to, we thank you for your service. They give you a free damn coffee and a donut, but you're broken up in the head.
And Farajii, if I just may, and I want people to stay with me.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
See the connection of, it's almost like a bad deal sometimes that we get from our government. When you think about it, like you go to the military, they say you get all these benefits and da 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 da. But then you go to the VA, the people who've come back, and you hear a different story. It's almost like you're being tricked and duped. In similar ways with this student loan crisis, where at age 18, 17, you couldn't even get a loan for $5,000 based on your credit. Right. But I'll give you $50,000 a semester, 60, 70, 80,000 for 4 years to go to school. And then by the time it's done, you're left and you must pay back. And the reason why I brought student loans up in this situation is to show the similarities between predatory government practices, where you promise something, but you're not guaranteed anything. And you're not even told that, okay, even after you do the good service, lose your limbs and legs, that you're going to come back to possibly being worse off than you were when you left.
Woo! Taylor said the military budget increases while soldiers' families receive SNAP benefits. How can this ever happen? Please, that's only in America, man. When soldiers get the budget goes up because a lot of that budget is into equipment, development of military arms and things. Their budget goes up. Every year, America puts more and more money into the national budget for military spending. And guess what follows suit? Every year in states across this country, more money is put into law enforcement. More money is put into the measures that supposedly supposed to protect and serve us. But then less money, not much care is put into, Brother Shanadu, the cultivation, the mental health sustainability of a soldier. And then, or if they come from a soldier to being a police officer, Lord Jesus, then we in for a rude awakening because they haven't, now they taken from one war zone to go into another war zone. They get dropped off in our communities. They get dropped off in Latino communities, and then they create havoc and hell on everybody. This is not good. And see, this is why we do have to have a different conversation about mental health in soldiers. And I bet you, for this case of Robert Card, as we close out on this, I bet you, I don't know if they're going to find him and take him in, or they're going to find him and kill him. But we can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. 18 people, bro, at a bowling alley. Yeah. Come on. It's so sad, man. Our heart and prayers go out to those families, man. Because you can't keep doing this.
Farajii, just to put some emphasis on what you just said, remember just last month, a military, either a member or veteran, if I'm correct, tried to defect into North Korea, of all places.
Yeah. Wow.
You got to ask yourself, what the hell is going on in our military? What is it doing to people?
That's a very real question, bro. That's a very real question. And, you know, there are a lot of it. And look, very quickly, if you look at some of these other countries, some of these Nordic countries and some of these other countries, right? Their approach to international or national problems or guns, drugs, it's far more progressive than in America, man. And I'm reading more and more, and I'm just like, man, we getting to a point. It's like, I understand why there's a movement of Black folks out of this country. And there's a very real movement where Black folks are leaving countries, going to European countries to have better quality of life in European countries, going to Africa, going to the islands. Because it just doesn't look like this country cares about its citizens. And this is going to continue to bite us in the ass, bro. This is going to continue to bite us in the ass. So we're going to keep our eyes on the situation in Maine. And most importantly, again, our hearts and prayers and condolences go out to the families of the Lewiston massacre in Maine. Folks, we got to take another pause. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit more about government, but let's talk about Representative Jamal Bowman and this weird case of him pulling the fire alarm at the Capitol. I'll give you the details and get your take on this as well. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my brother Sinead Okorafor, who is an activist and diversity specialist. Let's talk about this very kind of strange case in Washington, D.C., where Representative Jamal Bowman, who's a New York Democrat, he pulled the fire alarm. Take a look at this, y'all. He pulled his fire alarm. Looks like he's okay. Okay. I'm trying to figure this out. Here's the thing. This is coming from CNN. Take a look at this, folks. So he pulled his fire alarm. Of course, it's in the Capitol. So I don't know if he did not know that this was being recorded, but it was in the Capitol. He pleaded guilty today to a misdemeanor charge for falsely triggering a fire alarm in a House office building. He was able to strike a deal with the D.C. Attorney General's office, which he pled guilty to the misdemeanor charge. According to the terms of the deal, his sentencing will be deferred for 3 months. During that time, he will be on probation will pay a $1,000 fine and will write an apology letter to the U.S. Capitol Police. If he fulfills these terms, prosecutors will drop the charge at his sentencing hearing on January the 29th. Now, here's the other thing. Let's put up quote 2, please, Lise. So now, this is from CNN. Outside the courtroom, Bowman told reporters that the incident was pretty embarrassing, but said that he is glad that he is one step closer to putting this behind him. He said, quote, "I hate the confusion that it caused, lamenting that Capitol Police and other resources had to be used to respond to this. I'm really apologetic about that. I'm glad no one was hurt." Bro, he never said why he did it. Like, why would you just pull the fire alarm and then you say, "Man, I'm glad. I'm sorry for the confusion." Representative Bowman, what is this about? What is this that you? What do you think is happening here, Brother Shanadu?
Farajii, may I curse?
Yeah.
Farajii, I don't give a fuck about why this man did this. This is a lunacy story. I think this was during the time, if I'm not mistaken, during the time. I think Kevin McCarthy was still House Speaker at this time. And I think this was during the time of the proceedings of the votes for the government to not be shut down, if I'm not mistaken, because I do remember when this story took place about a month or two ago. Why he did it, what the reason was, all I care about coming out of that Capitol building is to make sure that after the 17th of this month, that our country still has a government. Because we are involved in one way or another in 2 different wars in the world, and we need to get our acts right about that. I think this is a very niche issue that I think he needs to do whatever his restitution is, and they solve that on their end. But I just think this is a puff piece. It wasn't smart. I don't think he'll ever tell you the reason why he did it.
Well, according Willie's saying, Brother Willie Frazier, you said he pulled it to postpone some vote.
Yes, that's what it was, to postpone the vote. Yep.
Bro, like if that was look. I'm trying to understand, Sinead. I'm really trying to understand. If that was your representative imagine living in his district. That's your representative. You see what I'm saying? And your representative is getting hemmed up. His face is on national news. You got a video of him pulling a fire alarm like he's in high school trying to stop a damn test. What is this about? Like, and now I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Sinead, I'm sorry. Maybe it's PTSD because of poor leadership, y'all. Possibly. But when I see somebody just like out of character stuff, now I'm questioning your mental stability. Maybe that's just me.
Even if you were postponing the vote would still occur.
Bro, if January, if January 6th didn't stop them from certifying the votes of a national election, and you had jokers climbing on the walls of the Capitol, what makes you think pulling a fire alarm for a few minutes and like, I'm gonna get everybody out the building, they ain't gonna vote today?
And Farajii, what's kind of funnier to me is part of his condition to get other than pay the $1,000 and being on probation, to get everything tossed out on the trial on the 29th, is that he also has to write an apology letter. And
right.
Farajii, I want to read that shit. I want to read it. Dear Capitol Police, I am very, very, very sorry. Like, I have to read this because, like you said, this is like middle school and it's lunacy and it's insane, but it's like, come on, man. And look, I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Let's say he boo-booed, he effed up. I'm glad he wants to get this behind himself, but he's going to have to give us something. Like, what was your thought process? If you're going up again in another race for that representative position, your people in particular, they will ask. They will ask, what the hell did you have going on? So hopefully he has a great story for us to tell in the future because this is in the midst of everything.
Look, and I know some of y'all probably wondering, like, why are you even talking about this? Because, like, one, it's an unusual story. It's a very unusual story. Two, it involves one of our Black political leaders.
It's okay.
Three, not only is the black political leaders, he's a representative for the state of New York, which is pretty well populated with black folks. Look, I'm not letting nothing small get past us in these days. You don't know.
You don't.
Where people's heads are. So I'm like, wait a minute, maybe we need to talk about this. Are we seeing something else? Like, because if you pulling fire alarms just because you didn't want a vote to happen, or if you just pulling fire, like you checked the door, it looked like you were trying to walk out the door, and then you like, all right, I'm just pull this fire alarm, man. And then you'll walk back. Bro, are you okay? And I'm serious. I'll be with it. Like, are you okay? Because at this point, you got me asking some real serious questions about your mental stability. I'm sorry. And this is at the Capitol. Let's just put this. If this was some regular building, that would be one thing. This is at the Capitol, where this is like hypersensitive security measures are heightened for the smallest things. Like I said, we just saw January 6th. There's been a shooter at the Capitol. I mean, you got all types of stuff. And now you're pulling a fire alarm at the Capitol, Representative Bowman. And then you say, oh, I'm just so happy that no one was hurt. The Capitol Police could have ran up on you and really done some harm to you.
Could have got murked.
You could have got murked. Matter of fact, and guess what? They would have been justified.
Yes.
I'm serious, bro. Like, maybe I'm looking too far into this, Shanae, but I'm just questioning. Like, if you are supposed to be in office and this is your way of not dealing with wanting to try to disrupt a procedure or a vote, I don't know. You need to be in office longer than that.
I mean, yeah.
Corinna, you said exactly, sis. It's ridiculous, but he's black, so it's in the news. I mean, look. Like I said, y'all, I'm not putting nothing past us in terms of black folks don't get no pass if you do some dumbass stuff. You don't get no pass, man. We can't be like, well, he's black, no, bro. You really could have caused a lot of trauma and drama with. You don't need to just apologize to the Capitol Police. You need to go to you need to come on to Black Star Network and explain what the hell you were thinking.
Race is not mutually exclusive to stupidity. It was dumb, no matter what the color of the skin was.
Right. Kathleen Davis, you said, glad you're not the judge.
I make him explain himself.
Hey, make him explain himself. Be like, I need an apology letter to the U.S. Capitol Police and to Black America for this. Black America needs an apology, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so not sorry. Oh man, wild issue, and I hope this is dealt with. I hope, like he said, this thing is behind him. But Representative Jamal Bowman, I'm looking at you. Brother Shanae, I know you got to jump off. Thank you so much to be a dear brother for joining us as always, man. Love your insight and your expertise, and God willing, we'll reconnect with you soon.
Inshallah. Thank you for having me.
All right, absolutely. Folks, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about how one sister has beaten the odds to becoming a domestic violence survivor, and now she has transitioned and put power into her life to becoming an entrepreneur. She is the founder of a major beauty line, and we're going to talk to us about her journey. So stay with us. That conversation is up next right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. Don't pull no fire alarms.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage. as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your time with us, folks. We are streaming live on various platforms right now as we kick off the second half of the show. We're streaming live right now on our website at blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app, follow us on Instagram and on social media, and more importantly, give something to continue to power this process. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, and we appreciate your support for this medium. Also, we're streaming on Amazon News, where you can find us on your Fire TV. We're streaming on Amazon Prime Video. We're streaming on Freevee, and we're streaming on Plex TV as well. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we appreciate you. Also, we are on social media on Facebook under Roland Martin, and you can like our page, Black Star Network, on Facebook, and on our YouTube page. Make sure you go under Roland Martin, and it's on our YouTube page where you can find the streaming live right now, and you can join us in the chat as being a part of our illustrious culture crew. And so make sure you do your due diligence and do that. Jump in the chat, share your thoughts, and we'll try to get to your thoughts as much as soon as we can. All right, folks, let's switch gears a little bit as we talk about one sister who has overcame great obstacles to get into a position of power and determining her own fate. I'm talking about my very special guest, Ms. Shanika Quattlebaum. She is a domestic abuse survivor, and she is the founder of the beauty line, Natalie Megan. And I'm so happy to have her joining us here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. Shanika, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today, sis?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good by the grace of God. Thank you so much for being with us. You have a story.
I do.
I love when we have great guests, folks coming on, and they have a story, because it speaks volumes about resilience. It speaks volumes about this idea that life can start off one way and then you end up in another place years down the road. But first, let's talk about, I guess, some of the darker times in your life. I mean, you are past that. You've been working your butt off, I'm sure, with the healing process. But I think that this is necessary to give some women and men hope for themselves. And then we could talk about the great things that you're doing with your beauty line. But talk to us about the work that, your past of getting out of an abusive situation. Give us some details on that, Shanika.
It wasn't easy. I was in a domestic violence relationship for many, many years, and it wasn't always bad. It started out with little subliminal signs, things like, where are you going? What time are you coming back? What are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? It was the little things at first, and then it just progressively got volatile. And it became a point where I could not leave my house without putting makeup on my face, without covering up my black eyes, my bruising, different marks, webs around my neck, whatever the case may be. And going through all of that, I always had a love of cosmetics. Let me start there. As a child, I played in my mama's makeup. So I always loved makeup, but it took on a different meaning. And, it became a thing where it was, I was going to die, he was going to die, or we were going to kill each other. And I remember the pivotal point in all of this was when I called my children and I had a conversation. I said, are you up? They were with their grandmother at the time. And I asked my daughter if my son was with her. He was home because normally he played basketball. And she said yes. So I said, put me on speakerphone. And I told them, whether I'm here on earth or whether I'm in heaven, I'm always going to be your mother and I'll always love you both. You'll just have an angel if I'm not here. And that broke them down. They cried. They were like, Mommy, are you okay? You want me to send the police over there? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Because at that point, I was in the house by myself. But I just felt that night I wasn't going to survive. And listening to them, it gave me a strength that I didn't realize I had. Mm-hmm. And that night took a pivot. It changed because that's when I started putting plans in motion to escape. Because you can't just leave. Let's be clear. When I first came out telling my story, everyone is like, well, why didn't you just leave? I'm like, it's not that simple. If you could just leave, no one would ever die. People literally are losing their lives to domestic violence. So it's not as easy as, okay, let me get up and walk out the door, even though you threaten to kill me, you threaten to kill my children, in some instances, people's grandchildren or whoever the closest family member or friend is. So it's not just a thing where you can say, yeah, let me just go. No, you have to properly plan. And that's what I did. So it took about a year, a little over a year, because I had to get credit in order, finances in order, all of that stuff. And when it was time, it was time. And I left everything behind and never looked back.
Wow. A couple of things coming to my mind. We had our sister Mildred Muhammad. She is a domestic violence survivor and domestic violence advocate. Mm-hmm. And something she shared with me on Instagram one day, she was really getting to that point of which you just said, of when people ask survivors, well, why don't you just leave? Yeah. And she sent me something and said, you know what? That's once again blaming the victim. Absolutely. We should be asking the question, why do men, in this case, why do men abuse? Right?
Exactly.
Do you think that we're having different conversations? Matter of fact, before I want you to answer that because I got to take this quick pause, but I want to just throw it out there. Do you think that we're having the right conversation about this issue? So I want you to, just let that process for you. But when we come forward, I'll certainly give you time and space to do that. Folks, we want you to join us in the conversation. We're talking to survivor and entrepreneur, Ms. Shanika Quattlebaum, and she talks about her story. And of course, we'll talk about the journey she has made to being a founder of the beauty product line. So folks, stay with us. Join us in the conversation as we are streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page. And stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We have been talking to our special guest for the day, Ms. Shanika Quattlebaum, who is a survivor of domestic violence, and she's talking to us about her story. But it doesn't just stop there for Shanika. She didn't just crawl up and go into the corner and say that, you know, the world will never acknowledge me, and so therefore I won't show my gifts. She took that pain, turned it into power, and has now become the founder of the Natalia McGann beauty product line. And we're going to talk to her more details about this. But we want you to join us as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page to be a part of the online culture crew. Share your thoughts and your comments. But I want to get back to that question, though, Shanika. About, you know, we often ask, and look, this includes me, and then it wasn't until Sister Mildred said, Farajii, we need to change this part of the conversation about domestic violence, that we don't ask that question. Instead of us asking the victim, why did you stay, or why don't you leave? Why didn't you leave? We should be asking the perpetrator, in this case, the men, why do you abuse?
Absolutely.
Why do you hit women? Why do you feel like you need to express yourself like that? But are we having the right conversation, Tanika? Is that why we're not seeing quite as much movement on this, because we're not asking the right questions?
I think it's two things. I think number one, this is a good conversation starter as far as always, you know, having I hate to refer to myself as a victim. However, in this case, it is what it is. However, we have to get to the root of it as well. Like, what is the cause of it? What causes a man to brutally beat a woman? It has to, in order for there to really be change, we have to dive deep. And a problem that we have is a lot of us in our Black community does not believe in going to see a counselor. We've been speaking for myself. I was always raised that, oh, you're not crazy. Only crazy people go and see a shrink. Make it make sense. I'm something. You know, we all have our battles that we're dealing with. And to be honest with you, your childhood has a lot to do with your adulthood. People don't realize that you can suppress a lot of things that you've witnessed, that you've experienced, or that you've been around from your childhood that'll resurface as you become an adult.
And I think for a lot of us, we logically know that, Shanika, but I think that emotionally it's still foreign to us, right? Like we understand. We're like, yes, but a lot of us, I mean, look, I get it. I totally get it. Like, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. One of the things that I've learned from being in therapy is the fact that you have to look at yourself as you are, not who you think you are, not who people think you are, but as you are in that current moment. Like, am I a mess? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta ask, like, am I a hot mess? Am I toxic? You know what I'm saying? You have to like embrace certain things about yourself, right?
Absolutely.
How you going to talk about you healing and then you don't even think you toxic, but everything you do reeks of toxicity.
Toxic.
You're right. Everything, all relationships. You can't keep a relationship going. I ain't talking about romantic ones. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family relationships. Everything reeks of toxicity. And you are the common thread. If we put you on the board, we'd be like, damn, this happened. This happened because
Right.
You at the center of attention.
Yeah.
So you know, my therapist had to say, like, you have to accept, like, this is who you are.
Absolutely.
Now, you don't have to stay that way, but at least accept at this current moment, this is who you are.
Yep. And work
I agree with that. Say it again.
I said, and work hard to change it. You know, I went through therapy afterwards, and I did a lot of soul searching. So I found out a lot about myself that I never really realized before. Like, I knew I had certain ways about me, but it was just like, oh, okay, well, that's just how I am. But that doesn't make it right.
Right. So talk to us about that, because it does take a lot of strength. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of power to get out of an abusive relationship. And sometimes, as much as women run away, and then the man comes back and claims he's sorry, claims he's changed, and draws that woman back into it. And then that cycle begins over once again. How did you finally break away?
I wanted more for myself, and I wanted to live. At one point, I'm going to backtrack. So I turned to drugs. I started doing cocaine, and I started drinking heavily. I tried to commit suicide 3 times throughout this relationship. And like I said, it was the conversation I had with my children that really made me see, wait a minute, you're going to give your life up and leave your kids by themselves. And you know how it felt, because my mom died when I was 16. She had an aneurysm, but she still died when I was 16. So I know what it felt like to be left behind, you know? So I had to kind of dig deep. And that's when I was like, no, I'm worth more than that. So it didn't matter the apologies, because that's what kept me so long. The apologies and the gifts. And that's what kept me so long. But once I was done, I was done. And that's how I've always been with things. When I'm truly done, pure hell or high water, there's nothing you can say and nothing you can do. I'm done.
So it sounds like it was a made up mind. Once you made an intentional, conscious decision, you was done. Well, I know we're going to take another quick pause, but I want to get your take on this. Like, in terms of the culture, we often equate love with pain.
Absolutely.
And you know, I even started to question it. I'm like, why did we do this? Why are we equating love with pain? We say God is love and God is supposed to be good all the time. Love is equated with pain. And then I'm thinking to myself, so why are so many people, why are we all yearning for love and yet say we don't want to be in pain? It's the what's your take of that in terms of some of these cultural messages?
For me, I'm going to speak from my perspective and from what I saw growing up. I never saw my parents fight. So let me be very clear with that. I saw them argue, but I also saw that my dad provided. So I became the little girl who's like, okay, I need a man that's going to provide, no matter how he may talk to me, no matter what may happen. He has to provide, because I saw like I said, my dad was not abusive. Now, he had a mouth on him, but he wasn't physically abusive. And it was accepted. So you're like, okay. That's how I grew up. I grew up thinking as long as the man provided and, you know, spoiled you, and because that's what I saw, and that's what my dad did for me, that's what a man is supposed to do. So again, it goes to your upbringing.
And unfortunately, we do find more and more Black women kind of getting sucked into this space, this relationship, this connection with a man that he may provide, but he doesn't give you that emotional support. He doesn't make you feel safe and secure. And it all falls apart at that point.
Absolutely. And at that time, I equated all of that together, you know, like, as long as he's the provider, and my feelings didn't matter. My needs didn't matter. You know, it was just like, okay, well, you don't have to worry about anything, or, you know, he may do this, but then, you know, this is going to come, you know? So it was mental. If I'm honest, it was mental. It was me being more so like, okay, well, he's going to buy me this purse, or he's going to buy me these shoes, or I know I'm going to get some jewelry out of this, or I'm going to do this. And guess what? Okay, now our bills are due. The bills are going to get paid. So I'm okay. When on the inside, I was dying. I was literally dying.
That's a great point. Shanika, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk a little bit about your moment of clarity and how you started the process of building your business. Folks, stay with us. We want you to join us in the conversation. We're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page, where you can post your comments and be a part of the culture crew. And of course, stay tuned. We still got a lot more of the culture left here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Been talking to our very special guest today, Shaniqua Quattlebaum, who is a domestic violence survivor, and she is a very, very successful entrepreneur as she has rolled out her beauty line. So we talked a little bit about that dark period in your life, but there was also, out of the darkness, in the darkness, great things can come to life. Right. So we can't throw shade on the darkness too much because you need the darkness. I think sometimes we forget that as people, the darkest moments of our lives can be the origin for the light that we're all seeking. And so you came out of this and you moved forward, Shanika. You said, okay, I'm not going to be in this place. I'm not just going to be known as a woman that just survived this. I'm going to thrive. Was there a moment, was there an incident when that happened and then you really started to see a different vision for your future?
There were several instances, but I think I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And the funny thing, well, not funny, but ironic thing in all of this is it started during that relationship. That's when I first started having thoughts, and I knew what makeup meant for me in that moment. And it was just like, wow, imagine how many other women are using makeup the same way I am. And so I started to, kind of have thoughts of owning my own business. Of course, I couldn't in that present time because I just mentally wasn't there. So many years, I guess it was about 4 years post that relationship. No, it was more than that. It was about 5 or 6 years post that relationship. And that's when I really started digging deep into the cosmetic world again. And we're going to fast forward now. I've remarried, and I remember in 2018, August of 2018, my husband and I was at brunch, and I was just telling him, I was like, hey, so this is what I've been thinking. I've been looking at vendors, da-da-da-da-da. What are your thoughts? And he was just like, do it. Like,
right.
What do you need me to do?
Right. Because he coming along on the journey as well anyway.
Exactly.
He had no choice.
Exactly. And then I was like, okay, green light, let's go. And that's what go is an understatement.
Go is an understatement. All right, the fact is that your beauty brand has exploded. I mean, you have gotten, this is your website. Now, pronounce the name. I've said the name, then I'm part of them in the back of my head. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, Farajii, don't mess up this woman's name, her brand's name. So how do you pronounce the name?
Natalia Megan Beauty.
All right, Natalia Megan Beauty. Where did that name come from?
My granddaughter. Her name is Natalie Megan, but she's half Dominican, and her Dominican name is Natalia. So I was like, oh, I love that,
Natalia Megan Beauty. So does this mean that your grandma got a little gift, i.e., generational wealth, waiting for the granddaughter?
Absolutely. She won't struggle like her grandma did.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, so Shanika, talk to us a little bit about. Let me just kind of break it down because folks may not know how serious your beauty brand has come. You're a Black woman. You're coming through these crazy circumstances, these like overcoming the odds. To date, you've been featured in Essence Magazine, In Touch Weekly, Life and Style, Stay Magazine, Forbes, British Vogue, Glamour, Vanity Fair, and some of your clients, Natalia Megan Beauty offerings. You have worked with the likes of Mariah Carey, Jennifer Hudson, Shoshana Bean, Meg Thee Stallion, Naturi Naughton, KJ Smith, Reginae Carter, Miss Columbia of 2014 and 2015 Miss Universe runner-up.
Yeah, to name a few.
To name a few.
Yeah.
But the fact is that this came out of a different, like you as a woman have evolved. I mean, you moved on to a much more fulfilling, safer relationship with your husband. Mm-hmm. You moved on. And I think it's fascinating, to be honest, Shanika, that as a Black woman, you say that you come in as a minority in the industry because even though it's an industry targeted for Black women and women of color, just as much as it is white women, you're still a minority. So now you're working in a different space. The dynamics of your relationship to men changes a little bit. So talk to us about that, what it's like working in that space. Like you back in a seat where now the power brokers are men once again.
They are. It's a little, the more things change, the more things stay the same. I'll say that. In this industry, in any industry really, we know who the power players are. We know when we enter rooms, we're looked at like, okay, but we're waiting for me. I can tell you a story. I entered a room. I won't say with who, but I've entered several rooms, several spaces. And It's always been, well, I thought we were meeting with the brand owner. And, in those instances, you kind of have to say what you want to say in your head.
Right.
And then just sit at the table, sit straight up and say, you are meeting with the owner. Let me introduce myself. Again, my brand has only been in business for 5 years. It's 5 years this year, to be exact. August.
Wow, congratulations.
So, thank you. So that in itself speaks volumes when I'm entering a room because of the success we've had. And because I'm not a Mac or a, brand of that stature yet. I'm on the climb, so it's coming.
Right.
Not there yet. And when I start going over my accolades and the behind me, because I never really thought to tell the story that the brand was created from until COVID happened. Then it opens up the ears and the eyes of people in the room. But you always have to prove yourself. I don't care. I can win 1,000 awards, but anytime I walk in the room as a Black woman, I have to work 10 times harder than anyone else.
Wow.
And that's just how it is.
That's incredible. I mean, I'm not doubting you at all, and I think it's an incredible situation. We got to take another quick pause, Sister Janika, but when we come back, I want to kind of get you to take some final remarks from you as you move forward with this brand. Folks, we're talking to Shanika Quattlebaum, the founder of Natalia Megan Beauty. We want you to join us in the conversation, and some of you are just still talking about her growth and her evolution from being a domestic abuse survivor. So I'm gonna share some of those comments and then get Shanika's her take and those answers, those questions answered. So folks, stay with us. We still got a lot more to talk about here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been talking to our very special guest, Shaniqua Quattlebaum, who is a domestic violence survivor, and she is the founder of the dope beauty brand, Natalia Megan Beauty, which is, there it is. That's it. Get the look. Look at this website. Oh, Shanika, do you know all these women? There's all these women. You're just doing it up real big. I'm really so happy and proud of you. I'm just getting to really know you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
No, this is awesome. This is awesome. I know we got a couple of comments from our online culture crew that as they're listening to your story and listening to your glow up. But one thing I thought about, and tell me if I'm crazy wrong, it's interesting that you are in the beauty line. You are in the beauty business, especially considering when you come from that very abusive relationship. And one of the things that I've often heard about survivors is not being able to kind of look at themselves in the mirror after a while. And that, just the simple task of applying makeup can be a very empowering moment, whether that makeup is used to cover bruises or to highlight the face. Have you had a chance to reflect on that? And it's like, man, I'm coming out of an abusive relationship. Now I'm making women look better. Talk to me about what your thoughts are around that.
I haven't really had a chance to sit still and reflect on that. And I say that because I know I never felt pretty during all of that. And I would put makeup on as an attempt to not just hide, but to make myself feel pretty, even though I never felt pretty during that stage of my life. But now it's totally different. It's just more of a, I'm just highlighting my beauty type of thing.
Right.
I talk, and it's crazy because I talk to women so much now. I can't even think of how many conversations I have throughout my day, whether it's in my DMs or, via text or whatever, with different survivors or people who know someone who's in that domestic violence relationship. And a lot of things that I hear, it was me. And I'm like, okay, now I'm the one that has successfully left and rebuilt my life. And a lot of women are looking at me as a model on how they can go about whether they want to be an author or whether they want to have a boutique or whatever. It's that strength. And, I've been told that I'm motivating, I'm so motivating. And I'm like, well, that was the point of me telling my story. I want people to see that your past does not have to dictate your future. And that's just, if you want to be an astronaut, you can come out of whatever it is, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, domestic violence, whatever the case may be. You can come out of it and be whatever you want to be. Don't ever let your past dictate your future, and don't let it hold you back from reaching your full potential. I have a lot of reflecting to still do on things.
Right.
Almost overwhelmed. I never expected this response. I'm going to be honest. When I came out during COVID and I put it on Facebook, it was like 11:30 at night. By the next morning, I had so many DM messages from women, from men, from a lot of people. And I said, okay, God, well, if this is what I'm supposed to do, then it's time for me to walk in what you want over my life and not what I want for me.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from men?
There are a lot of men that are in abusive relationships that are being abused. But as a man, it's different for them to come out because, they're like, I'm a man. Oh, so you're going to let a woman hit you?
But it's more emotional, right? It's more emotional abuse.
Because it's testing their manhood. If that makes sense. So
no, that makes a lot. Please, does that make sense? That's a woman testing a man's manhood. Makes sense. Never heard of that. Never heard of a woman testing a man's manhood.
Right. So, I remember the first gentleman I spoke to, I did not know how to respond to him because I had to take myself out of being a woman victim and just being an overall victim. And the stories that he was saying, it's the same thing. he was being hit. He was being hit with irons and just all kinds of craziness. And it's like, wait, okay. But the reason, and I'm only speaking of this one gentleman, that he didn't reflect back was because he knew, had he hit this woman back and the police come to the house, they would take him before her.
Absolutely.
So it was like, okay, so men really do deal with this. Maybe not as much, but they really do deal with it. So in speaking now, I'm like, okay, I have to kind of not just cater to everything I say go towards women, because there are men that are in the same situation and it's hurting just as bad. Even more
great point.
In some instances, because again, it's their manhood being tested. And how many men can go to their boy and be like, yeah, let me get home before my wife beat me, or you know what I mean? So
right. And I think that's exactly why I think sisters and the work that you're doing and other Black women in particular are doing to open up a safe space, to open up a space for even for men to express ourselves, because we're all part of this like very toxic system, right? In the feminist world, they call it this patriarchal system that removes and distances Black men from being in touch with our feelings.
Absolutely.
And all men, really, And so when we go through traumatic things happening in our lives, it's very hard for a man to say that he feels powerless.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to the relationship that he has with his intimate, his romantic partner, the woman in his life. And so if there's no space for that, he's taking the brunt of that. He's holding it in, but it could be manifest. He could manifest it, in some other way. He might get into a new relationship and become the perpetrator at that point.
Yeah,
that's
a whole nother conversation.
Whole nother conversation
that I am so passionate about that has to be had, but it's levels. Men have it hard, and women have it hard, but men have it hard because you have to be, you always have to put on this facade like, oh, you're the tough one. And I remember growing up, my dad always told my brother, don't you cry. Don't you cry. And I'm like, what the hell you mean? Let that boy cry. Let him get it out. But again, that's how in my day, men were brought. You don't cry, you don't complain, you don't do this, you don't do that, you just keep everything internally, and then you bust a vein, you have a heart attack, you have a stroke, you have this, because all that stress is on the inside and you're not letting it out, because you, again, and my instance coming up, because my dad was like, that's not what men do. So
do you have children, Shanika?
I have a son and I have a daughter. They are 28 and 27.
What are some of the things? What are some of the lessons? Because they've gone through. They're obviously from a previous relationship, not your current relationship.
Correct.
So was it their dad that you were in the abusive relationship with?
Believe it or not, I had two. Their dad was one.
Okay. And so how did you handle that? How did you know it? Like, are you in relation? Like, one of our crew members wanted to know, do you still talk to your former lover, your ex?
No, I don't.
And how does that work with the child, with your children?
Well, their father and I, it's kind of different with him because he has his own stuff that he has to work out.
Okay.
And I don't hate him. Honestly, I don't hate either one of them. I would be more cordial to my children's father than I would my ex-boyfriend. I don't ever want to see him again. I think he was like, that was the absolute worst. That was the relationship with my ex-boyfriend where I was going to die. I mean, that's just what it was. The kids were way younger when I was with their dad. In fact, I had left their father when they were just in 5th and 6th grade. So they really didn't see anything with us. It wasn't until my next relationship afterwards where they were exposed to everything. And they saw things that children shouldn't have to see, in that moment, I didn't think too much of what I was doing to them. And by me, I mean me being in that situation was doing.
Right.
However, as you know, once I got out and I started having conversations with them and conversations with my daughter and her specifically, because I never want her to feel like that's acceptable. And we have a way of molding our kids to think that what we deal with or what we go through is acceptable in life, especially in their early teens, preteens, and teen years. And I did everything, like had open conversations. I was like, journal, whatever you feel, all of that. And that's just it. My son, on the other hand, he was very protective of me. He was. And it got to the point where I let them, they went and lived with their grandmother. They couldn't be in the house. That just it became such of a toxic environment for them. And I needed to protect my children. I didn't care if I died, but you're not going to play with my babies. I had to protect my babies. And now they're almost 30. They're still my babies,
Absolutely. They're your children. So why wouldn't they be your baby?
So I had to protect them by all means necessary. And it was rough. And to this day, even though I'm now in a much different situation, we still have these conversations because I don't ever want my past. Because remember, they saw their mother high. They saw their mother drunk. They saw their mother with bruising. They saw their mother with black eyes. They were there for a lot of this. And I always want to know what they feel. And I always tell them, don't hold back. Don't think you're going to hurt my feelings. I would rather you say some stuff and I'd be like, oh my God, did y'all just check me like this? Than for you to keep it in and for it to fester. And then it comes out later on down your lives in your own relationships.
That's it. We got to take another quick pause. I want to give you a chance to give some final remarks, but I think this conversation is so empowering. Folks are checking in. And I think many people are just listening. And it's these type of discussions, Shanika, where connections are made.
Absolutely.
Understanding, you know what I mean? And I think that it humanizes, and I hate to say this, but we see the statistics around domestic violence. We see the statistics around entrepreneurship. But what we don't see are the stories of people who live these statistics. Absolutely. Right. We don't know people's story. And so as I'm growing older and I try to be in a much more mature and more open-minded space, especially about other people's lives, you never know what the person's story may be. You might be thinking, oh my gosh, she could have did this and did that. And then you listen to the person and next thing you know, you're like, man, oh man.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that you went through that, or I never would have thought that you overcame this, or I never would have seen you in a position where now you have celebrity clients for your product line. Exactly. It's your story. It's the story. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, final remarks from our special guest, Shanika Quattlebaum, and staying with you. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Just checking out some of the conversation in the chat as we're streaming live on Rolling Martin's YouTube page. And many of you are just sharing your thoughts and being quiet and listening and being as supportive as possible. And I always appreciate you, crew, for your ongoing support when we have our very special guests sharing their stories with us. We've been talking to Ms. Shaniqua Quattlebaum, who is the founder of Natalia Megan Beauty. And y'all can definitely check out. What's your website? Because I got a couple of sisters in the chat that they see these photos and they like, I need to get me some beauty products. What's the website?
It's www.nataliambeauty.com.
Look at this. Look at this. You blowing them out the water. You are doing it. You are doing it real big, Shanika. You are doing it real big.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's just. I want to kind of give you a moment to just some final moments. Oh, also make sure let's put your social out there. If you got social media for Instagram and everything, how can people find you?
I'm all social media platforms: IG, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. What am I missing? Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Twitter. It's X. It's Natalia M Beauty on all platforms.
All right, that's awesome. There we go, right there. Natalia M Beauty on all platforms. Do you have products for men?
That's coming. Actually, I have the packages. I just haven't had a chance to open it.
Oh, for real?
So
you got the package. You got the packages near you?
It's like boxes. If you could see.
Oh, all right. All right. All right.
You know,
I don't want to see no brown box. I want you to pull that joint out and be like, Farajii, you got the new, you got the exclusive. No, that's awesome. But you said that you do have an offering for men.
Yeah, we have our men's line launching this year.
Oh, you do?
We do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just.
Get ready. We're going to take care of those beards and everything.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
You need models? Let me stop. That's another part of my life. So we got a few moments left. Folks are checking in. What is the big thing that you want folks to get from your story, Shanika, as they see this? I mean, you are in a new industry. You are moving forward. Your family is in a better place. You're mentally, emotionally are in a better place. And we know it's not easy. You never forget. You just learn how to move a little bit further along. What's the big thing you want people to gain from hearing your story today?
That my past didn't break me. I didn't stay in that dark, sunken space. And I actually used everything I've gone through in life as a motivation for my success today. So if nothing else, I want people to understand this. I don't care what your addictions may be. I don't care what your situation is. You may, wake up every day, go to work and go to a homeless shelter. Whatever it is, just know you don't have to stay. That's not your end all be all. There's a whole nother world out here. That's just where you are today, which is building you and preparing you for what God has planned for you next.
There it is. I love it. I absolutely love it. A. Robertson Production checked in, asking on the question, can a private citizen invest in your company?
Yeah, tell them to DM me. Yeah.
Okay.
We're working on that for the beginning of 24. So that's something that's in the works. I've had a lot of people reach out. So definitely, if he's interested, you can DM me, Natalia M Beauty, on any social media platforms. It'll come directly to my phone.
Okay, awesome. All right, so A. Robertson Production, definitely, take time to please DM the sister, and maybe something could happen in that space. But you said that you are creating a mechanism to do that, right?
I'm working on that now.
Yeah.
I never thought about it's things that you don't think about initially because.
See, that's why you got to come on the culture.
Exactly. I did this with the passion of what I love, and then it just took off. So
no, I hear you. And my final question is in terms of Black women, really, how do you make sure that as much as all of this stuff is going on from Black women, that Black women really see themselves in a better place? We there's so many different things out there that's taking Black women's attention. But we know Black women invest in beauty products. We know Black women invest in those things that make them feel better. But is beauty truly, is beauty something that needs to be achieved, or is this something that has to be, that's already cultivated from your standpoint?
For me, our motto is we enhance your beauty. Everyone is already beautiful. We were all born beautiful. We all, no one wants to live in a culture where everyone looks the same. So we're all beautiful women. We're all, handsome. We're all beautiful. Only thing we do is enhance what God has already given people. That's it.
There it is. I like it. Enhancement. Enhance what God has already given. Nicole Smith checked in and said, are the products free of dangerous chemicals? Shanika?
Yes, they are. There are no chemical-free products. We don't do animal testing or any of that. So
and that's all good.
Yeah.
And this is a Black-owned, women-owned company.
Yes.
Except with your husband hanging out from time to time.
In the background.
He in the background somewhere. But it's a Black-owned, women-owned company.
Black-owned, women-owned company.
It is right there. Shanika, I can't thank you enough, sis, for joining us and sharing your story, talking about your trials, and but mostly importantly, talking about your triumphs. You are a shining star for us in the culture. So you're always welcome back to join us. Any type of latest developments, new campaigns, anything, new products, whatever the case may be. We would love to be a part of your launch of product for Black men. Just let us know. But you are a dope woman. You are a fantastic sister. You seem like you really got your head on straight, and God has blessed you tremendously to be in this space. So congratulations, and thank you for being so good for the culture.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate it. Folks, the sister is Shanika Quattlebaum. The brand is Natalia Megan Beauty. Make sure y'all follow her on social media. Make sure you go to her website. And more importantly, make sure you support her. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I'm going to hold off this final story for us for later on, but we'll try to just throw that in for tomorrow's conversation. But I truly appreciate each and every one of you for joining me in the conversation, my online culture crew. I see you, Lana. Thank you so much, Tiana McCall. Thank you so much, brother Damon, Sean Thomas. Thank you so much, Willie. Thank you, Zuni. Zuni, the name of the company is Natalia Megan Beauty. Natalia Megan Beauty. Let's throw up that website once again, please, very quickly, Lise. And then we can make sure that we can have our sister. There it is, right there. That's the website right there, Zuni. So if you want to get more information, Natalia M online, you can definitely do that. And, just help the sister out and support her. But she got celebrity clients and she's growing. She's growing, she's growing, and she's growing. And we truly appreciate her. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. I thank my fantastic production team for making today's show possible. And I invite you to make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms with Black Star Network. Also, make sure y'all follow me on social media. I love to connect with you. You can find me on Instagram at The Real Farajii. Also, I'm on Threads, it's The Real Farajii, on Twitter at Farajii. And let's continue to build the community. Let's continue to have the conversations. And most importantly, let's continue to be good for the culture. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. And God willing, we will be back tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.